This is a 2x2 black cardboard tile. Welcome. I'm going to be doing... Welcome. Today I'm going to do a Zentangle using a silver uniball Signo broad pen and a very small 2x2 cardboard, you can see how thick it is, tile that I didn't realize I was buying that weight of a tile. And normally you do the border, but because this is such a small tile, I'm not going to do that. But I'm going to start with Rixty. And if you remember Rixty, or if you don't know Rixty, I'm going to, actually, let me do it in the black so you can see it easier. On my background, I'm using my Hannaford paper bag that I had to pay for when I picked up my groceries, so nothing is lost. I am going to show you Rixty. So you do two simple lines, neck by neck like that. Then you do a line like that. And then you are going to go like that. So it's line, line, across the top, and then the two triangular. And then you're going to color it in. You can even make this a little bigger if you want. Sometimes I do that. And then the next part is to draw an aura around it. It's kind of hard to do this so you could see it. And that's Rixty. Then the next part, you will follow that same line as best you can. You can make it smaller, larger, again, that line, again, come in from the sides, fill in, draw your aura. That's kind of a crooked aura, but that's okay. And then continue. And remember, you can turn it. You could do lots of things. That's what I'm going to do on here. I don't know what else I'm going to do yet, but that is the plan. All right, so, oops. See, I moved everything, and now, there you go. So, I'm going to take my silver pen on my black. You can do white with black. You can do anything you want. And remember to turn your tile in any direction that you want to. So I'm going to come in from the corner. And this pen does work a little different. It's almost like if you've ever used a fountain pen. So you got to be careful not to smudge. I'm going to make my lines a little bit longer. Do that top part. Then the sides. And again, you can see how wet this is. My aura around it. And I should let this dry before I go further. But again, I'm going to pick up where this left off. So you imagine where that line would be and that line would be. Same process. Oh, look at how wet that is. Oh my gosh. The ink is practically pouring out. So this is, I like the effect, but it's not so easy to work with. And I know I can smudge it very easily. So if you are using a pen like that, just be aware that it can smudge. And I'm going to make this so it turns. I'm going to pause for a minute and let this dry a little before I continue. I've let it dry a little, but you can still see it's a little wet. So I'm going to work in this corner. This is almost going to be a monotile, I think. And what is a monotile? It's the same Zentangle pattern all throughout the tile, and only that pattern. I don't know if I'm committing to that yet, but we'll just see. So once again, I'm going to actually come out on this side and just kind of do the same thing. Might want to make it a little longer. There's that same line. Color it in. Color it in. And like I said, if you're using a pen that is very fluid like this, just take a little extra time because it's so easy. And it's also so easy to mess up, was what I was saying. And it also is a bigger point, so I can't do really tiny things with this. So I have to just honor that. And work with, remember there's no mistakes in Zentangle, so that's the premise. Still have to be careful here because it is wet, so I'm very aware of that. Hopefully I remember that. And then you turn it this way. And I think I'm just going to get this guy to turn that way, because I just love it when they kind of go in directions that you're not expecting them to go in. There's my line. I'm going to extend it a little wider. And they don't all have to be uniform the same size. Rixty, R-I-X-T-Y. The ink is literally pouring out here. Just like a fountain pen, if you've ever used one of those. If you're as old as I am, you have used them in school. And they were a nightmare, as I recall. Especially when you were a child and you couldn't make any mistakes with it. Nowadays, things are different. I'm just going to run this one right off the edge. And I'm going to make it look like I'll have a little part of it there. You're not going to see it on that side as much. Okay. I kind of like that. I'm not sure what else I'm going to do. I might do more of them. So as I'm waiting for this to dry, and I have no patience, I decided I'm going to put some Tipple in this corner, which allows me to avoid the wet areas. And if you remember, Tipple, I have to be careful not to touch, it's just orbs. So you're drawing orbs of different sizes. It's like a bunch of rocks. That's how I see Tipple. And I'm going to fill in those little gaps. And there's some Tipple in the corner. I don't know, I can get carried away with Tipple. I like Tipple. And so that fills in that corner. So suddenly now it's not a monotile, because if it was a monotile, you would only have Rixty. And now I have something else there too, which once again is a little wet because of the silver pen I'm using. So I have Rixty in that corner. And now I have to decide the next thing I'm going to add. I really like Flux, and I like Rick's version of Flux, not Maria's. And what is that? I'll do it on my paper here. Oh, let me do it over here. That's it. It's almost like a teardrop. Could be a little pointier, like that. Can you see that? No? Yeah, you can see that better. So the first two, I didn't have the detail in the bottom like I do. That's the better. You have that little kind of line, and you could twist them also. So now I have to be careful I don't get that wet. All right, so if I want to do some flux, I was thinking in this corner, because this is dry now. So I'm going to do a few pieces of flux coming out of and then I'm going to turn. Don't forget to turn your tile. Remember, if this is wet, be careful to not splotch. And then I'm going to put some tipple there. Kind of like that. And I'm going to carry that through over here. And when you're doing flux, you could certainly turn it. Makes for an interesting pattern. Again, be careful that you're not smudging the wet ink, whether you're using a micron pen or not. And it's dried a little bit, so I'm going to start adding the line and 2 dots or 1 dot or no dots. You decide how you want to. Remember, there's no mistakes. Some might have 1 dot, some might have 2 dots. Just be careful you don't smudge. And if you do smudge, there's usually a workaround because there's no mistakes. You can usually change things for the better. Now, here I have Rixty, and I have Tipple, and I have Flux. And I could put more on there, but I think I like that just the way it is. I might want to just, when you're working on a black tile, you may have some see-through. You may decide you're going to keep that see-through or try to fill it in. If you're using a pen like I'm using, which I really, really like, but it's challenging, you may not be able to fill it in as much as you want. And this is my tile, and I think I'm done with it. I tend to put a lot of things, and I think this is the perfect amount. It seems balanced to me. So I'm going to end with this. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. And yeah, try it. Rixty, Tipple, and Flux. Enjoy.